Alright, today we've got a pretty long video. We're going to do 3 Chevy instrument clusters in a row. Trailblazer and a couple of Silverados. And there's good information the whole way through, so watch all of it you can. And the third one almost kicks my butt, but we get it in the end, so there's good troubleshooting techniques, etc. in there. Anyhow, give me a like and subscribe. You won't remember till the end if you even watch it till the end, because it's like an hour long. On with the show. Welcome back to Automotive Electronics. We're going to try something new today. I've got multiple GM clusters to fix. And another one. So we're going to try to knock them all out in a big ass hurry. See what we can do. Still get it done right. And my something new is I'm going to put my microphone up there on my hat. Hopefully the audio will still pick up just fine. Alright, I'll switch you over to the top view. Get rid of the couple of these out of the way. Start off with this is a 03 to 07 Tahoe, I believe, or not Tahoe, Trailblazer. And we'll just start knocking it out. This got the same typical problems that all these GMs have, I'm sure, with bad stepper motors and resistors turning loose and all that good stuff. You got a bunch of clips here to get loose so you can get the back off. Ah, come on. There you go. And one more. And these just kind of they pop off easier than the Silverados do. Don't have any weird clips on them like the Silverado does, and you'll see in a little bit here. First thing I do when I get these apart is this one's real scratchy. You can hear it. This one's not so much. Scratchy, not so much. Scratchy, and totally locked in place. See if we can force it to do what we want. Nope, we can't even force it. Just kind of starts spinning around the shaft. So we're definitely going to have some stepper motors to replace on this bad boy. Somebody's been in here because I can see the needles are marked. This is the way you should mark them as well. You could put a piece of tape if you don't want a little permanent pencil mark on there, but and yeah, there we go. Those are the two good ones that are in there. The rest of these are C5s, so the rest of these are going to need to be replaced for sure. Let me go get the power plug for that one. This is not the prettiest power plug I've ever made. It was one of the very original power plugs that I made that had 99 to 02, 03 to 06, and then it had a Trailblazer plug too, all in one. Decent concept, but so our displays are nice and bright. Everything looks to be working except for some lighting. We got this light up, we got this light up, this light up. Toss those. Only got 4 left, so let's just take all of those off. And these just kind of snap off when they're originals. Now, if you've seen that somebody's been in here replacing stuff and they've resoldered those may be on there a little too well to just snap off like that, and you don't want to pull the pads off. So when they have the blue things around them, usually they just snap off pretty easy because they weren't soldered very good to begin with. These up here are turn signals. I think that's your high beam, if I remember correctly. turn signals. That is a instrument illumination, so we'll ditch that one. Turn signals, they don't work all that often, you know, just when you have a turn signal on, unless you're one of those guys that runs around with your turn signal flashing. So usually those bulbs have got a lot of life left in them. Alright. Let's get ourselves switched over to the other bench. Swap the camera. This is all pretty straightforward. What I like to do first is, custom request speedo oil out only. Huh. Interesting. That was done 7/15 of 2013. So I guess it's made it a few years since it's been into somebody for repair. Okay, so we don't need to change the speedometer or this one over here, which was the oil pressure. Just going to get these white ones out of here. I like to take out the stepper motors first. And we got some dendritic growth on the back here too that we need to take care of. I like to use a solder pump, solder sucker, whatever you want to call it, on these 3 holes. It's just quicker. Usually these motors turn loose pretty easily. If they're cranky, you just got to work at them a little bit. Whatever you do, make sure they're coming out easily. If they're not coming out, look and see, because there's probably some solder left. Those need to go in the trash. Believe it or not, back in the day I used to keep all of those so I'd know how many I did. I've done so many now that I don't care anymore. So now that you got those out, this is an easy time to come in here and build up your pads for the lighting. There's 4 pads for each light, and it's pretty easy to see where the legs came off. So you just solder the 2 that the legs came off of. Even with my bad eyes, I can see it. Just build you up a little solder bubble there. You'll be able to go back on with your lights pretty easily. If you do your lights prior to putting your stepper motors in, then you have more room to work. Put the stepper motors in first, then you're trying to weasel in around a stepper motor instead of just having plenty of space to work with. And these are just standard 12-volt bulbs that you can get off of Mauser. Pretty sure they have them on Amazon. I got to get my glasses on. I can't see that little leg. Now the microphone up by the ear is not looking like it was the smartest idea. Since I'm running, where did the bulb go? Some more where that came from. Alright. You guys are probably going, it's right there by your left hand. Getting old and your eyes sucking is not any fun. Oh, there it is. Not something that I would do if you have a choice. Of course, I guess the alternative's not very good. I'm trying to work a little too fast here, not letting my solder cool down before I try to move on. Those little blue housings, see, I did it again. The blue housings that are around these bulbs from the factory, not a completely necessary thing. You can just solder the legs of these little miniature bulbs. These are 4mm bulbs from Mauser. Mauser's a pretty good company up in Dallas. It's got everything you need. I don't know if they sell stepper motors. That's not where I get the stepper motors, but most of my bulbs and other components come from Mauser. You'll notice that this has the VID motors, which are black, and I'm going to be putting in, I think there's Tech motors that are white. VID motors are good. I've heard people in the industry say otherwise at times, but I've never had a bad experience with them. I've never seen one go bad, never had to replace one. They're pretty good, but they're more expensive. And they're harder to get now. So we're going to need 1, 2, 3, 4 stepper motors. I used to buy the VIDs straight out of China. We had to buy about 5,000 at a time. But my contact there dried up. And they were a little more expensive even when I was getting them at that price or that quantity. But like I said, I never have seen one fail. Get a little short on my. So you just go back and solder these pins when you put them back in. Work from one side of the board to the other. Just make sure you get it. And I need to roll off a little more. That's that. I need to get this off the board over here. I gotta let my other iron heat up a little bit. And we're gonna get some flux. Pre-treat these areas with a little flux. Before I get down, I'll give you a little close up of this stuff here. That is, where are you? That is dendritic growth. That is dendrites growing, and this is my theory. They're growing from a positive charge to a negative charge. I may or may not be right about that, but I'm going with it. And as they grow, and when they get spread out far enough, they inherently get from a positive to a negative, causing a little shorting out action on your board, and that's not good. It starts doing weird things. So anyway, the way we get rid of the dendrite growth, a little bit bigger iron, because heat kills it all. So you go back over with some flux. The flux helps dissipate the heat. Gets very smoky, but that'll kill off all that dendritic growth. And that stuff just melts away. It's kind of nice. I can't remember what they call those videos where it's just something that gives you pleasure to watch it happen. Stuff starts with an A. Can't remember. My vocabulary has diminished in my old age. I used to know all the big words. I remember dendritic though. Alright, that is all of that stuff I see. Oh, one more. Okay, after you use that method to clean all those dendrites off, you use this method, 99% alcohol. I know it says spick and span, but it's 99% alcohol in there. And we just saturate a little spongy thing from Amazon and clean all that stuff off. If you leave that flux on there, it does bad things to your board also. Alright. And then you toss this because it costs about 3 cents, I think. Something like that. Alright, so now we're all good to go. Let's go back to the other bench. Plug it in. Check our lighting's good. Everything's operating. Looks good. Everything's bright on this one. And we can start going back together with it. You want to put your back on before you set your needles. If you don't, and you just set it like this, then try to put your needles back on. There's all kinds of movement that goes on. If you set the backing in place, you can still set it down and move it, but everything's moving together at that point. Alright. Now with power applied, I'm just going to put these on where they go because they should be powered up at the 0 position. Gasoline just a real small smidgen lower than dead empty. And mile per hour on 0. And RPM on 0. You want to be careful. Don't smash the needles all the way in. If you smash them in as far as they go, they're going to hang up on the faces and they're still not going to work, even though you've done all the good work to replace the stepper motors. So they need to be able to move freely, and if you jam them all the way in there, they're not going to move freely. Alright, so let's just power it up. The reset takes place, and everything's where it goes. I don't have the time to, this is like the dirty version of making sure everything sweeps well. And just power it up, and everything comes back around. That's a good sweep test in my book. Alright. That's back in place. Get the right stuff. Want to get the window cleaner and not the plastic dip. One of these days I'm going to grab that plastic dip can and spray it and go, oh jeez, oh Eulens. And that's that. That one's ready to go. Next up, this is a Silverado, somewhere between 03 and 06. It could be an 07 Classic. It is a heavy duty because it's got the transmission gauge. When I tell people I do 2 or 3 of these a day, I'm not joking. There are a bunch of these come in. This lens, the top clips come loose, slide that back out and come up with the white section, down with this section, and it'll pop free. Alright, same test. These don't actually feel that bad. Get rid of my crusty power up deal here and use my better one. Okay, that didn't reset, so see what I'm saying about a down and dirty sweep test here. That one failed for sure. That one failed. Anyway. Alright. Needles come off the same way. If you're doing this at home, make sure you mark those needles before you get them off. If you don't mark the needles, you're not going to be able to put them back right. Jeez, these are on there. Use yourself a little fork tool like this, and that helps get those off with their being stubborn. Alright, this one has been rebuilt at probably Dorman, because they're the only ones I know of that put these yellow. Remember how the old ones, the ones on the last cluster were blue, these are yellow. That indicates to me that this one has been rebuilt. So now we have the question, how much did they do? Sometimes they do a lot, sometimes they do a little. But these, normally they go back with the same crappy stepper motors that they came out of them. And I don't recognize these stepper motors at all. They certainly weren't acting right. When I say the same crappy stepper motors that came out of them, generally referring to the C5 model stepper motors. I'm going to test this again. Displays are nice and bright. These things are acting decent on reset, but I'm assuming this came in for a reason. Let's see whose this is. So, this is from another automotive shop. And sometimes they don't specify exactly what's going on. See a few little areas that I'm going to go ahead and touch up, even though this has been reflowed in most of the right places. Give it a 8 out of 10. Nice effort. Oh, I didn't check the lighting yet, so we got one light out. Alright, let's just do the whole damn thing. Don't like these stepper motors anyway. And like I said on the last one, These bulbs.
Mix from John Spotify.
No, Alexa, stop. Jeez. I don't know why she just takes off on her own sometimes. These with the yellow, they're not. They're on there. This has been refurbished, and you're gonna have to get those off with a soldering iron. You can't just pop them off like you could the other ones. And I think I'm just gonna go ahead and replace the single bulb on that one that was out. It's going to require me finding my plug for this bench. Oh, well, there's 2 bulbs out. I'll replace both of those because I don't trust them. Let's get these motors out of there. Get the stepper motors out after you've taken the solder off the pins. Press from the back with these the little white tabs that are sticking through, and that motor should just fall out. So we went over this in the last one, but if it's not coming out, don't force it. Oh, then forgot to unsolder that. Come on, you can do it. Heat up. See, I grabbed the wrong iron and this one didn't want to come out. Grabbed my chisel tip instead of this one. This one's the one I like. Works great. Done. All right, let's get 7 motors. Those out of the way. Go back with the new motors. Ah, I'll tell you on the last one, it's a whole lot easier to put the bulbs in before you start messing with the motors. We still got video going on, we still got audio going on. Gotta check this stuff every now and then. I've had so many videos that if I don't check it as I'm working, and get done and everything is all screwed up. Either the audio dropped out, or you didn't notice and the recording kicked off. So just line this stuff up. Big peg in a big hole, little peg in a little hole. Alright, come back on the back side, solder these points. When you just need to make sure that these holes are clean when you get these stepper motors off, because if you don't have a clean hole and you push those motors through the holes and you've got an occlusion on this side, it's going to push the pad right off the board, and that is the #1 DIY failure. Pushing that pad off the board. It is an easy thing to do from a simple rookie mistake, and then you're in here seeing me going, can you fix this? And the answer is, yeah, usually if you didn't try to fix it after you pull the pad off, okay, and you know there's a problem, don't try to fix it yourself. That is a sign from above saying you need some help, and you should go with that. Okay, now I'm checking for dendritic growth. Seeing none on this one. And we're going to power it up, make sure everything looks good. That all looks good. Time to reassemble. Oh no, we're not going to reassemble yet. We got a couple more little things to do. I told you they soldered about an 8 out of 10 on the components we needed to solder. Forgot about that. Alright. Power supply area needs all this stuff resoldered, because I've seen each one of these components fall off. So we've done a good job, and those displays are nice and bright there. I also like to hit these. As well as these. Might as well hit this one or two. And I have actually seen this one give trouble before. So there we go. Ready to reassemble now. So back over here we got a couple of things we're going to do. Do a wet spot on the rag with some glass cleaner. We'll clean that. that. Get that back up here. We'll clean the whole front of that. This one's pretty dusty. This is a good example of one that's probably run around with the windows down all the time, or been left with the windows down. And this is what happens. That's how much dirt gets in them. It's not insignificant. You can put all your plastic pieces in the dishwasher, provided your dishwasher doesn't get to 800 degrees. Should be good. Do not put the circuit board in the dishwasher. That would be bad. Unless you're planning on using it as a dinner plate from now on. A friend of mine, he used to go home and we'd ride motocross together. And he would take his helmet home. Your helmet gets very sweaty riding motocross. And he would stick that puppy in the dishwasher. He said, man, that thing comes out like brand new every time. It's like, your wife is a lot more tolerant than mine. She wouldn't put up with that for a second. Alright. My dad was a used car dealer. That's how I learned to do all this crap. And he used to, when he was looking at cars, and he was trying to decide whether he was going to buy a car or not, he would go try the cruise control. If the cruise control worked, he'd buy it. If he was on the fence, he'd buy it if the cruise control worked. And when I look at cars, I look at the cluster and I look for dirt. If it's got dirt in the cluster, I don't want that sucker. To me, that's just a kind of a down and dirty way of evaluating whether a car's been taken care of or if it's just been left out for whatever to happen to it. So, not for nothing, but little things sometimes help you out. Alright, cluster number 3. Let's see what we got on cluster number 3. Oh, this one's might be interesting. Okay, we've got nothing going on. Front display is all blocked out. Alright, let's figure this one out. This is going to be a little different. Hopefully, you'll see something new. I say hopefully for y'all. I hope it's boring. Get my job done and get back to the house. I'm not sure how much longer my wife's going to put up with me being here. It's a Saturday right now at 7:52. And I'm not so sure she's going to be thrilled with that. Alright, let's put power to it. We got nothing in the power supply area. Alright. She might get her way tonight because this is not real clear cut what the hell's going on with it, so We're going to resume this probably Sunday. Sunday. I will see y'all then. Not that you'll notice, because I'll be right back. Alright, everything going crazy on a Monday morning, of course. So what I'm going to be doing is checking this voltage regulator here. I got 5 volts coming out. This pin should be 12. We have 12. Should be 5 volt. I think that should be 5 volts. No, that one's 5. Alright, I got a good board here. I can't remember exactly which pins are supposed to be doing what. Switch out to a different board coming up, and we'll see if we can't get this figured out. Got my meter timed out. Alright, 5. And that one's got some error reading. This one is 5. So the first pin and the third pin are 5. Third pin from the bottom is 5. And you got your 12 volts on that one. And another 5. So on the board we're having a problem with, we do not have 5 volts on this row. We got 5 on the second row. Got 5 volts coming out of that one. We got 12 volts coming out of that one. This one should have been 5 as well, and there's no 5 volts there either. Should have 5 volts on these capacitors. Yes. 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 I think there should be 5 volts on the other side of this too, but maybe might not be right. We'll switch back over. No, I'm not getting it out of that one, so that's not the case on that. Oh yeah, you get 5 volts on this side, so we should be getting 5 volts on that, and we're not. So anyhow, got something going on in the power supply area. Not sure what, but we're going to have to get to the bottom of that. This voltage regulator, or whatever the hell it is, should be 12 volts measuring there, which is kind of strange. That shows 12 volts. That shows negative 12. Alright, let's get our problem board back. We'll measure that component, see if we get the same. Yes, we got the same reading there. Okay. So not sure what's going on with this chip, or well, I don't even know if it is this chip. It could be a supply going into that chip, but it could be a bad voltage regulator here. See what we can do. Let me think about this for a minute. So on a good board, we should have 12 volts here, and we do. And we should have get on that sucker. 5 volts on this one. 12 volts. 5 volts. I know you guys can't see my multimeter, but trust the readings I'm telling you. On this board, it's bad. We're getting 12 volts. And it's like 1 volt. Trying to get down here and really get some pressure on it, but yeah, solid 1 volt. So definitely got power issues. Okay, well here's the deal. I've been working on this for a while off camera, but haven't had any success. But we're going to use a different method. Assuming this processor wasn't coming on, it does seem to be getting power that it needs down to the processor, however, so I've literally reflowed everything throughout here. Everything. So that doesn't seem to be working. So I'm going to give it one last shot. I'm going to have the power on to this thing, and we're going to go over the processor with some hot air. Probably ought to add a little flux to that. And let's see if anything changes. I'm kind of monitoring what's going on with the cluster while I reflow these. This is probably a good way to tear things up if you're not careful, but looks like we just got it. I see this on Fords all the time, that the processor turns loose. But that is the first one I've seen on a Chevrolet, that the processor's turning loose like that. Well, it's not the first one. I've seen some weird stuff go on with these Chevrolets, but it's a very rare occasion when the processor is what's turning loose. But it does appear, power cycle it here, that was the case with this one. Coming up every time now. And occasionally what will happen is you'll heat those things up so good that they start working, and then when they cool down they quit. So I'm going to throw this board in the freezer, and we'll see if we can replicate a colder environment and make sure it's still working. We are back from the freezer, and I'm getting my ass kicked on a Monday morning, so I'm gonna have to do this kind of quick. So if you guys have questions, I guess you'll have to get to them in the comments and all that stuff after you like and subscribe, of course. Anyway, let's get this over on the bench again and see if we still got good power. Boy, nice and frosty. This sucker's cold. Alright. Powering up. Booyah. I call that fixed. Alright. Switch this camera over here. And we'll get this bad boy. That's my working cluster there that I can test things off of. This guy certainly should not have any issues. Get the frost off of his cluster before I start putting it back together. Certainly shouldn't have any issues since we went over damn near the whole board. I'm going to get my other power supply hooked up here. And turn off the ignition side of it. See if we got an amp draw. And we have no amp draw, so we have no parasitic draw on it. Alright. Back on with the needles. So apologize if I'm not going over every detail here. But got to blow this one out of here and get on to the next. Awesome. 261,936 miles. Not a young pup. Tell you one thing, after working in the instrument cluster business for a while, I see a lot of, where are you guys? Number one, now go, there you go. I see a lot of clusters. And I see a lot of these old, we have to rebuild these all the time, but these trucks, they're going forever. I see them quite regularly with 300, 400, 500,000 miles on them. So don't see too many Fords like that. Just saying, don't kill the messenger. Anyhow, like, subscribe, do your thing. I did my thing. See y'all on the next one. Oh, yeah. One other little thing I wanted to show you guys I did. This is a board like we were working on, the Silverado board, that I've taken every damn component off of and then sanded it down to where I can see all the traces and trace things out, follow power paths, ground paths, etc. This one, I believe what happened to it, see a little spot right here? Yeah, when I sanded it down, that was like that. So there was a reason I couldn't fix this one. It had some kind of defect in the board. Anyhow, like, subscribe, do your thing. See y'all next one.